Hello YouTube, my name is Nero and today we have some Call of Duty Black Ops 3 playing a bit of domination here on the map Gauntlet. This of course is part of the Awakening DLC. The Awakening DLC is upon us, therefore I am playing on the PlayStation 4 as it is at the time of me recording this video, the only platform in which you can actually play the Awakening DLC. If you guys didn't catch my review, and I don't blame you whatsoever if you didn't catch that video because it went up super late last night, but if you guys didn't catch my review of the Awakening DLC maps, I did a video covering the 4 multiplayer maps that we got with this DLC in great detail. I showed you a lot of gameplay in that video. I think it's roughly 17 minutes long, covering 4 maps, and yeah, it's actually one of the better videos I think I've made in a long time. I feel as though it's a very good video. I think it's very informative, and if you guys would like to check that out, there's going to be an annotation on your screen, as well as a link to it down there in the video description. Feel free to open that up in a new tab and watch it once you are finished with this video. I think it's definitely worth a look, especially for somebody who is interested in purchasing the Awakening DLC, or indeed if you are somebody who doesn't even have access to the DLC yet because you picked the wrong console or the wrong platform when you decide to play Black Ops 3. Today we're going to be talking about something a little bit different than just the Awakening DLC. We're going to be diving into the world of conspiracy theories. It's fun diving into the world of conspiracy theories now and again, and of course the conspiracy theory that we're going to be discussing in this video is going to be the theory that Black Ops 3 has implemented a stealth update to incorporate skill-based matchmaking along the lines of what we saw last year with Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. So if you guys are not in the know, there was a giant update that came to Black Ops 3. It's out right now for the PlayStation 4, and it's going to be coming to the Xbox One and the PC at a later date. I have a feeling it's going to be coming to the Xbox One a little bit sooner than it is going to be the PC. I think they gave an estimate of 1 to 2 weeks for the PC, although that could be for the Xbox One as well. But they're both going to be getting this update in the very near future, but right now the PlayStation 4 has it. I did a video talking about this patch because it was a giant update. They changed around a lot of things. They changed around a lot of the weapons, a lot of these specialists, a lot of these score streaks. Heck, they even changed around some of the maps. Like, Nuketown is fundamentally different. The cars are now lower. The head glitch spot by the B flag is now removed because they added boxes on top of it. Some of the old classic maps that we got with the game at launch have been changed to look different and make themselves like be a lot more brighter and more beautiful. It's just they changed around a lot of things with this update, and the theory goes as such: they implemented a stealth update to incorporate skill-based matchmaking once again here into Black Ops 3. When I made my video covering the patch, and I discussed a lot of different aspects I think affected the multiplayer the most, I did not mention the idea of skill-based matchmaking whatsoever, and there were so many comments on that video of people saying, "Nero, you forgot skill-based matchmaking." What? No mention of skill-based matchmaking? Haha, gotcha, you didn't mention skill-based matchmaking. How could you forget? And I had to finally just make a reply because I got so tired of writing out all these comments to individual people talking about skill-based matchmaking. I'm like, guys, here's the comment. I can't forget something that wasn't in the patch notes. There is absolutely no evidence whatsoever that skill-based matchmaking has returned in Black Ops 3. There's just none. They didn't mention it whatsoever. There's not even a single mention, a single piece of language in the patch notes regarding the idea of matchmaking or even tweaking matchmaking whatsoever. And this entire theory, I think, stems from 2 sources. There's the number one source, I think, was, and this is from a lot of people that were on the comments in my video, that it was coming from YouTubers. I'm not going to mention names. I think it's in bad taste to name drop or anything like that, but there are YouTubers out there who are kind of known to be complainmentators, i.e. they complain a lot and they rarely have anything positive to say. Those people were making videos saying, "Oh, ever since this update, I've been having a real tough time. Skill-based matchmaking must be back." You know, and so people, obviously, they listen to that because it's one of their favorite YouTubers, because there's a number of them out there, and they decided, like, "Oh yeah, this guy says skill-based matchmaking's back. It must be factual. He's a YouTuber," you know, which obviously is not the case because he has no inside information whatsoever. It's just, you know, it's just somebody's opinion. The other source I would think is every time there's a hot fix, this is something because I'm prone to a lot of community feedback here on YouTube. I am constantly reading feedback from the community here in Black Ops 3. I'm always reading comments here in my own videos and replying to comments. I'm reading comments on other people's videos and watching other people's stuff. I'm very active on Twitter. I follow the Black Ops 3 subreddit pretty frequently, and I try to have my finger on the pulse of the Black Ops 3 community. I like to see what people are talking about. I like to see what are the hot button issues. That's kind of part of being a YouTuber, and this is a trend that I notice so much. Every time a hotfix comes through, guys, every time a hotfix comes through, you will see people yelling from the rooftops that skill-based matchmaking has somehow returned. Now, where this all kind of stems from, I think, is originally, like, way back when, like, towards the beginning of the game's life cycle, they did an update, which apparently accidentally made some matchmaking was a little bit different, and they didn't exactly explain how the matchmaking was different, but it did mess with it a little bit, and then they fixed it the same day. Like, it was only out for a couple of hours or so, but even then, people just started freaking out right away because they thought skill-based matchmaking was back. They started making threads on how to reverse boost, was the best way to reverse boost. We're not dealing with a skill-based matchmaking thing like we did with Advanced Warfare again. Just people started freaking out, even though this little apparent change to matchmaking was only active on the live servers for a couple of hours right when the game first came out. That was the only time they've ever accidentally changed around the matchmaking. Aside from that, the matchmaking has been the same ever since launch. It's always been the same, and that matchmaking goes as follows. They try to give you the best connection. How they do matchmaking here in Black Ops 3 is pretty similar to how they did matchmaking in older Call of Duties. They will try to put you in a lobby with the best connection possible, which is not always easy. Sometimes like you're from California, but you're playing with a friend from Canada. Therefore, it's going to be hard sometimes to get you guys in a lobby that works well for both of you. He's in Toronto, you're in California. It's going to be hard finding a data center for you guys to both connect to, so on and so forth. But they try to get you into a lobby with the best connection possible. That's something that they try to do. Once everybody is in the lobby, and let's say you're playing like 6v6 TDM, you get in there and they try to divide up the teams, right? They want to make it so both teams are relatively even. So what they will do is they will have this kind of a system, which they haven't explained how the system works, and rightly so, because if they did explain it, then people would try to exploit it. But they have this system where they try to make it so everybody's even in that lobby. If you take someone like me who has a generally high score per minute, they're going to put me on the team typically with some people that maybe have lower score per minutes, and they kind of like try to even things out so there's an equal amount of skill on either team. That's what they do in Black Ops 3. That's what they've always done in Call of Duty. That's just something that they've always done, and they haven't really changed that too much, with the exception of Advanced Warfare, where they kind of like had a bit of a prerequisite where they would try to get you in lobbies with people of an equal skill level, kind of prioritizing that over connection. Or at least that was the theory. Now, I have a theory that in Advanced Warfare, skill-based matchmaking wasn't too much different than what we saw in other Call of Duty games. Everyone always talked about skill-based matchmaking in Advanced Warfare, and I think the reason why it was brought up so much was it was a lot harder in that game for somebody who considers himself to be a good player to consistently do well. And that maybe not necessarily be attributed to skill-based matchmaking. It may be attributed to the fact that that game was freaking random as heck, man. I mean, you look at that game with exosuits and how people are constantly flying around all the time, and footsteps were basically irrelevant, even though we're running around in robot suits. The game was random. People were just everywhere all the time. It was really hard to set up these gunfights for yourself. You couldn't hear them coming. People were constantly jumping or dashing or doing whatever. It was a pretty random game at the end of the day. Everything seemed to be a little bit more random, and when things are a little bit more random, it's harder for the cream to rise to the top. So that's just a theory of mine, that maybe skill-based matchmaking wasn't actually a big part of Advanced Warfare. It may have just been that game was really random, and therefore it was hard for somebody who considers himself to be a pretty good Call of Duty player, somebody that typically does well in other COD games, to do well in Advanced Warfare consistently. Everyone would have their games here and then, but for somebody to hold like a 3 KD like they could in Black Ops 2, it was a lot harder in Advanced Warfare because, again, it was pretty random. So that's just my theory on that. But David Von der Haar, who is essentially the face of Treyarch, he has made a statement regarding skill-based matchmaking possibly returning with this recent update, and he put out 2 tweets regarding this topic. The first one, I'll say it one time and one time only: we haven't changed matchmaking at all. What you think you feel is fragmentation. People who have the DLC get matched to other people who have the DLC. This is typically more engaged or active players, period. And that's all he said on the matter. And again, it just kind of reaffirms that, yeah, skill-based matchmaking isn't in the game, or if it is, in some respect, I mean, obviously every game has some form of skill-based matchmaking. It hasn't been changed, hasn't been tweaked. It's all just placebo. It's all just people thinking the skill-based matchmaking has returned for a number of reasons. Sometimes people will get into a lobby and there'll be 3 prestige masters in there, and they think to themselves, oh, well, skill-based matchmaking must be returning. But no, just there's going to be prestige masters. That's people play the game. That happens. You're occasionally going to run into them. Maybe there's prestige masters that live around you. That's why you're connecting to them occasionally. It's something that happens. And there's one thing we should know, guys, is that just because somebody's a prestige master doesn't mean they're a better player. Just because somebody is a high rank or is a high prestige doesn't mean that they're necessarily a great player. It might just mean that they play the game a lot. I mean, rank has never really mean skill. It's to some respect, I suppose it does. If you're a prestige master, you typically know your way around the gun or know your way around the maps and stuff, but it doesn't mean that if somebody's a prestige master, they're going to be just head and shoulders above everybody else. That's not the case. I mean, heck, I got in PlayStation and I'm a level 1. I'm a level 1 nooblet because I was stupid and forgot to purchase Black Ops 3 for my PlayStation 4, and I also got sucked into, during Double XP weekend, I got sucked into just playing so much on my Xbox account, trying to level it up as much as possible, that I didn't level up my PlayStation account whatsoever. Therefore, I started playing the DLC as a level 1 nooblet, and even I was going up against prestige masters as a non-prestige level 1, and I was leading a lot of my lobbies as a non-prestige level 1, because it doesn't matter, what perks you have unlocked or what weapons you have unlocked, at the end of the day, it comes down to is whether or not you're a good player. That's what happens. You know, if you're a good player, you will rise to the top. That's how Call of Duty works. That's one of the great things I think about Black Ops 3 is if you're a good player, you're typically going to do well. And I was thinking about making an entire video on this. I mean, your perks and your guns and your attachments, like while they're all nice and they can offer you your own benefits in your own way, really just a basic set of perks and a basic weapon and a little bit of gun skill, and you can do well in Black Ops 3. And that's, I think, evident here in my videos, especially if you hear of the Awakening DLC, because in every single video of mine, you'll be seeing I am using gravity spikes, so I couldn't be bothered to change around my specialist. I am using flak jacket, fast hands, and gung ho. That's on every single class. I have 2 stuns and a frag because that's what it came with by default. And on my assault rifles, I would typically only put on quick draw. My SMGs, I think I might put a grip on it or something like that. Like, I didn't really do anything fancy with my classes whatsoever, and I typically did well, and that's kind of as a result of Black Ops 3 is a game that rewards somebody who knows what they're doing. I'm somebody who plays a lot of Call of Duty, and I have for almost a decade now, so I'm typically going to do well when I play, and that's just the very nature of it. It doesn't come down to skill-based matchmaking. It doesn't come down to some secret plot that Bonderhar has to try and appease the noobs of the game to try and make it so more people will want to play the game and try to bring in new fans. It's just theory. It's just conspiracy theories that people have, and it's so hard to argue against the idea of skill-based matchmaking being stealthily implemented here in the Black Ops 3 because I can't prove a negative. I can't prove to you that when you're not home, your dogs don't walk around and have tea parties and speak with a British accent. I can't prove that that doesn't happen, but likely it doesn't. And it's also likely that they are not trying to stealthily implement skill-based matchmaking in the Black Ops 3. I think if they were to do something along those lines, they would announce it and they would try to make it so it's kind of known amongst the public, and that just seems to make the most sense. That's the most consumer-friendly way to go, and therefore it's probably the way Treyarch would go because there's no reason to believe that they would not be consumer friendly with the exception of their exclusivity deal, but that's something Call of Duty has been doing for nearly a decade. But ladies and gentlemen, I hope you guys all enjoyed this video. I hope you guys all found it helpful and informative, and if you did, drop me a rating. I hope you guys all have a wonderful day.